Our government is committed to negotiating a new deal for Alberta, an Alberta Accord, if you will.
It's a real powder keg of disaffection unless the feds actually get with the program.
Myself and many other people in the room would vote to leave because we don't trust Mark Carney. We don't trust that anything's going to change.
It was awesome to see the largest event in Alberta political history. It shows that people are supporting our premier. Our team is united. We're so grateful for her leadership at a time like this, and I think that's what we heard tonight in this room.
Ottawa steps on Alberta and doesn't seem to understand what we ask for. We're not asking for special favors. We're asking to be treated like the other provinces.
We come from other parts of Canada. I'm a strong Canadian. I just think that the policies of the last 10 years have been horrendous. And I can't understand why. Well, I do understand why Ontario and Quebec keep voting for it, because it's milking the engine that we create.
Sydney Fizzard for Rebel News here in Calgary, Alberta for the UCP's Calgary Leaders Dinner, with the main speaker being Premier Danielle Smith. This is an event that has over 2,000 attendees, making it the largest political dinner in Alberta's history. And that's why we're here to talk to those who support the UCP to find out their reaction to the two big questions of the day, which is, will Mark Carney play ball with Alberta's energy sector? And how will Premier Danielle Smith balance separation versus national unity?
We have some of the most abundant and accessible natural resources of any country in the world. But against the wishes of millions of Canadians, a select few eco-extremist ideologues in Ottawa have done everything in their power to keep that wealth in the ground. So let me say this as clearly as I can, with all due respect to Prime Minister Mark Carney and anyone else Ottawa might send our way. I cannot allow the status quo to continue.
I get your reaction to tonight's event.
It's a good event. I mean, you could feel the tension in the room when the Canadian anthem wasn't really sung too proudly. So I think Danielle gets that we're really frustrated, and I think she understands she needs to roll up her sleeves and fight back even harder.
Great gathering of Albertans, great gathering of Canadians.
Interestingly enough, I feel like I am walking away more proud Canadian than I was before.
There's a good momentum in the room. I think conservatism's strong in Alberta, and I think Danielle Smith is the person to carry that forward.
It's finally nice to get Premier Smith's opinions without being reduced and changed in context, and so it was fantastic.
How passionate Premier Smith is about our province and battling for our interests in Ottawa is really important to me.
Reaffirming the resolve that we should be respected and that Alberta would prosper and Canada at the same time.
Our government is committed to negotiating a new deal for Alberta. An Alberta Accord, if you will.
It was so great to be here at this event tonight. It was awesome to see the largest event in Alberta political history. It shows that people are supporting our premier. Our team is united. We're so grateful for her leadership at a time like this, and I think that's what we heard tonight in this room.
We've got 2,000 people in that room right now. This is the largest leaders' dinner in Alberta's history, and it's such a dynamic crowd, and there's so much energy in that room. You can hear from the applause and the response to some of the what the Premier is saying specifically around our energy sector. This is a city and this is a group of people that want to see our energy industry and industry across Alberta thrive, because this is what brings jobs. And that's an important message to young Albertans and young Canadians right now.
We'll go to Saskatoon for a First Minister's meeting, and what I hope will come out of that will be a consensus about how we're going to start building. So I don't think we have to wait that long. I think we will know in the communique that comes out after a day and a half of meetings whether this government is serious about changing course or whether we're just going to have to double down on the fight. So you don't have to wait that long, just a couple more days.
We have our new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Do you think that he's actually going to play ball with Alberta's energy needs?
0% chance.
Got to give him a chance.
I have hopes.
I like her message. Let's wait and see what happens after Sunday.
I don't know. It's been a long time that we've ever got any help from Ottawa.
There's a lot of skepticism, I feel, and personally I feel that. Time will tell, but that time is measured in weeks and months, not years.
Personally, I wouldn't trust anything that comes out of his mouth.
Confidently, I can say it'll be better than Trudeau, but I don't think we're going to get exactly what we want out of this. But you got to give the guy a chance.
I certainly hope so. I think part of the Premier's message tonight is that, it's go time. We've heard him make, certain, not promises, but he said things that sound nice, but we want to see action. I think Albertans are fed up with politicians that, provide empty platitudes and nothing ever comes of it. We need to see action.
I approached Carney not long ago, and we've texted for a decade, so I've known him for a while. But I approached him about 2-3 weeks ago and said, look, Guilbeault makes no sense for Canada. If you want to build Canada, you need to blah, blah, blah. He responded almost instantly saying, please focus on Hodgson. That's a pretty clear message that Guilbeault's in the background, Hodgson's in the front ground. Hodgson has a background as a business leader, and he was business active in Calgary. I worked with him as an investment banker 20 years ago. They understand that we need to do things. They also understand that Trudeau offered nothing in the context of leadership, balancing budgets, building LNG. He couldn't do any of it. So clearly, Carney's going to protect national interests. Alberta's going to protect Alberta interests. But I think we can work together. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge fan of Pierre Poilievre.
No, I think they're going to keep Bill C-69. They're going to keep our oil on the ground. And personally, I think if there was a vote tomorrow about separation, myself and many other people in the room would vote to leave because we don't trust Mark Carney. We don't trust that anything's going to change. In fact, we think it's going to get worse because he's more of a globalist than Trudeau was. So it's dangerous. But we have an opportunity with this party to really get some things done. Even if she takes a federalist approach, we start using the notwithstanding clause, we start doing all those things Quebec does, we can still get some ground and some movement. But I've been working in politics since 1989, and when I ran for the Reform Party when I was 22 in Ontario with the same sort of issues we have today, I don't think it's going to change.
Hey, what do you think about Alberta independence? What do you think about Alberta trying to get a better deal within Canada? Do you think Alberta should have the right to vote in a referendum to separate the same way Quebec did? There's a lot of things to talk about. Can Canada be fixed, or has the West tried that, done that, been there, and it's just not working? Well, we're going to talk about all these things in an amazing day-long conference in Red Deer, the heart of Alberta, on Saturday, June 14th. Go to donegettingscrewed.com to get your tickets now. It's going to be a full day. We'll start with a continental breakfast. We'll have panel discussions. We'll have keynote speakers. We'll even have a debate. I think that's going to be the highlight of it. David Legg, former advisor to the Alberta government, is going to make the case for Canada. Keith Wilson, lawyer, freedom activist, he was with the Freedom Convoy. He'll be making the case for independence. We'll have other people in the debates, a media panel, and people of different points of view, including different political parties. There's going to be a bit of a trade show there too. So we'll serve you 2 meals, but more than that, we'll serve you ideas you just can't get anywhere else. But it's coming up quick, and I promise you this event will sell out. There's only room for 1,000 people. And I know that there have been 1,000-person meetings about this subject all over the province. In fact, we had an event in Calgary that sold out in 2 days when we had only 350 seats. So don't be disappointed. Go to donegettingscrewed.com and get your tickets now. I'll be there. Sheila Gunn-Reid will be there. So many interesting people. Our friends in other media companies like Western Standard, Juno News, and Countersignal. It's going to be a great day. That's Saturday, June 14th in Red Deer, Alberta, all day long. Go to donegettingscrewed.com to get your ticket now. Don't wait. I don't want you to be locked out. It's going to be full. See you there. That's donegettingscrewed.com.
What we're hearing from the Prime Minister now is definitely a different tone, which is welcome. But as the Premier said tonight, and I know as she said a number of times, we expect action. They have said that they are going to be a government of action and that they are going to work on building the Canadian economy and national unity. And we expect them to take some serious, significant first steps. That includes getting rid of the oil and gas production cap, C-69, Bill C-48, all of these policies, including the net zero electricity grid regulations that they have coming forward. We expect them to abandon these unconstitutional and unrealistic policies, and then we'll start taking them seriously.
Side note, how many times have you brought the federal government to court?
Oh gosh, the number I believe is, it's upwards of a dozen, I think. We've got to, you know what, we've got to defend Alberta, and the interests of Albertans. And not only is that in the best interest of our province, but it is in the best interest of our entire country. And that's the message that we've been taking not only to the Prime Minister's office through the Premier, but to our counterparts in Ottawa.
I believe Albertans deserve to be able to put forward issues of importance to them. And if they receive the required number of signatures, then it should be able to be put to a vote of Albertans in a referendum.
The backup is separation. A lot of Albertans are talking about that right now, whether or not it actually comes to happen. But do you think that that's a reasonable position to consider in these times?
Absolutely, given the immense transfer of wealth from Alberta to other provinces, of course.
Oh, I'd be voting yes, absolutely, 100%.
We got to exhaust all of our efforts to make things work within the country first.
And I wouldn't vote that way. I'm a proud Canadian, but certainly we need to be able to stand up as Albertans and get a fair deal. We haven't had a fair deal for years.
She's just pushing for something better for Alberta and something that's fair for us. And if it comes down to greater firewalls and more independence, then she's going to have a lot of support. And you can see that in this room with 2,000 people showing up.
You know, I was a little bit more on the separatist side, but I would say that a stronger Canada, a stronger Alberta within a strong Canada would be a better fit. But I think more authoritarian centralist governments like the Liberals have proven themselves to be definitely should be done away with.
I think she's handling herself appropriately. I think a lot of other people are a bit more rabid in their approach to separation, but it's a tool and it's leverage. But, you know, we come from other parts of Canada. I'm a strong Canadian. I just think that the policies of the last 10 years have been horrendous. And I can't understand why. Well, I do understand why Ontario and Quebec keep voting for it, because it's milking the engine that we create.
I think she's balancing it well. Like personally, I would not like to see Alberta separate, but I think supporting the will of the people and what they would like to see happen is what needs to be done, while also supporting Alberta as a partner within Canada.
I think the Federalists are using it as a bargaining chip, but there's a lot of us out there who actually said, look, we've tried this, it doesn't work, we got to go. And it doesn't mean we want to become the 51st state. Why go from the frying pan into the fire? We want to be our own country.
What is your plan to address Western alienation concerns?
Well, a couple of things. I as you know, born in Northwest Territories, grew up in Alberta. I resolve to no one in terms of my understanding of the West, my connection to the West, and I'm part of a government that governs for all of the country and very much for the West. I think such dramatic comments are unhelpful at a time when Canadians are coming together.
I'm a collaborationist. I believe Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, BC, and the Yukon and the Northwest Territories can work together. And we don't have to report to Ottawa. But if we work together, as Danielle said tonight, we can build pipelines. We can build our infrastructure. We can build our natural resources. We don't need to separate to be better.
Separation is much talked about. I don't think realistically it's viable, but we need to be more controlling of our own destiny, very much like Quebec has, not in the recent years, but in the recent decades. A lot of the blame for a fractionated Canada should be laid at the hands of the last Prime Minister. This Prime Minister speaks differently, but whether the substance is there remains to be seen. I'm personally skeptical, but there's a lot of expectation in Alberta, as I think you know, as an Albertan. And so it's a real powder keg of disaffection unless the feds actually get with the program.
Years, decades of Western alienation have accumulated to this point, and that's a feeling of frustration that I feel myself as an MLA for a rural and an urban constituency. I get the opportunity to talk to folks every single day who are fed up with the way that Ottawa steps on Alberta and doesn't seem to understand what we ask for. We're not asking for special favors. We're asking to be treated like the other provinces, and that's critically important because they have no problem taking our money and taking paychecks through equalization, but yet they step unhamper the industry that provides that very money.
We have seen 10 years of a government in Ottawa that has disregarded not only our province, our provincial jurisdiction, our major industries, and the livelihoods and well-being of everyday people from a jobs perspective, from an affordability perspective, as they went down a path of radical activist environmental policy and ignored the things that mattered to everyday Albertans and Canadians. I think right now, of course, people are optimistic as they hear a new tone from this federal government, but we need to see it and as the Premier said tonight, we need to see action fast if they mean what they say.
Measures are being projected that will actually harm the climate and the environment. Does the Prime Minister recognize the existence of climate change? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, yes, of course, the climate crisis exists. And it's a major challenge facing our nation. And that's why Canada needs to become an energy superpower, both in traditional and green energy. And that's why in Alberta at the G7 next month, we will be holding a discussion on forest fires.
Prime Minister Carney will also be representing Canada and Alberta, for that matter, at the G7 coming up. Do you think that his messaging during that summit is going to be something that represents Alberta fairly?
You know, what I hope we see is a Prime Minister that takes the message that we here in Canada, and especially Alberta, have the energy that the world needs right now. The world is looking to us to provide safe, affordable, reliable, and environmentally produced energy. We have that. The world wants it. And what they're looking to is a federal government that actually wants to see that happen. That means committing to pipelines, but also getting rid of those regulations that disincentivize growth and investment, like, again, Bill C-69, C-48, and oil and gas production cap. No other energy-producing nation in the world is looking at policies like that. We shouldn't be either.
Having that unison with the government of the United States would get us to a different level, and getting a fair deal with President Trump would be a great initiative.
And with President Trump coming to town, do you think he might try and make an offer for Alberta as he made an offer for Canada?
Well, he would. He's a businessman, right? So people have a right to say whatever they want to. It's completely on Canadians what they want for their people, and it's fair to say that we should listen to everybody.
Couldn't happen at a better time. I think they're going to see how we are and everything else, and I really think, again, proud Albertan, proud Canadian, but I think it's going to be great for the world to see where we are.
Well, let's start with the fact that Mark Carney is coming to Calgary this weekend, and he's organizing business meetings. Let's just be really clear. He's working on the relationships, something Trudeau never did once in 10 years. Where and how will the G7 treat Danielle and the other premiers? Don't know. But again, it's a meeting of the prime ministers of all the various countries, presidents, whatever. It will be interesting to see what Trump has to say, because every day is a new day for Trump. And again, I have trouble with some of the things Trump's doing, but I admire that he's trying to build his economy, protect his border, get rid of fentanyl, get rid of criminals, stop the wars on a global basis. Like, who can say he's wrong? Well, there are people who say he's wrong, but I'm having trouble understanding why that is. So how is G7 going to fit into Alberta? Don't know, but I'm pretty happy they're coming here.
I hope you enjoyed hearing what these UCP supporters had to say. Let us know in the comments what you think. Do you believe that Mark Carney will play ball with Alberta? Or do you think separation is just going to continue to grow? For Rebel News, I'm Sydney Fizzard. DoneGettingScrewed.com is where you have to go if you want to see the latest on Alberta's separatist feelings and the realities that might be coming our way.